Hey everyone, excited to be back here for another episode of Founders with Pari, the co-founder at Elan Healthcare. Pari, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
We're super excited. Olivier on our team was thrilled to have you as our first guest from his portfolio, and I've had the privilege of being able to read a little bit about your story, and we're excited to share a bit of it here today.
Thank you.
So I'm calling actually not too far from you. I'm in Toronto downtown. Where are you today?
I'm in Mississauga.
Yeah, not too far away. Well, it's these shows are very fun. Yesterday I was speaking to someone all the way across the world, in Australia, and before
I
spoken to people.
noticed 9:30, so you keep pretty, you know, long hours, I think.
Yeah, it's we're wherever our founders are, we're there to talk to them. But today it's really to hear your story, and there's a lot I think we can talk about when we get to talking about the business. But what I'm always very fascinated about is the real origin of every entrepreneur, whether they think about it or not, early in their life, probably had some tendencies to say, I when I was a kid, or maybe my parents, or something that was that seed at some point in my life, I was going to do something on my own and build my own business, my own brand. When you think about, life growing up, what maybe just what was that like? Places of, what was it like growing up as a kid, and what were you interested in at the time?
Yeah, well, um, I can say my father had a huge impact on my tendency towards entrepreneurship because he was a serial entrepreneur. He had a couple of factories. He had a very successful export import business. So
Hmm.
we grew up sitting at the dinner table talking about LCs and how this shipment came in, or we're exporting that thing, or we're going to manufacture this new product. So it was sort of regular table talk for us.
Yeah.
And while I did go to, med school and, finished med school and I practiced for a few years, but I always had that in the back of my mind that I'd like to also have a hand in business. And
Hmm.
that's sort of how I got into the pharmaceutical industry.
And you remember at that when you were sitting around the dinner table, did your father ever kind of rope you into the business in some way? Like my dad, he had a whole bunch of different businesses, but I remember over summer sometimes what key part of it back then was like direct mail, and so I would fold the pamphlets and put them in the envelope, and that would race to see if I could do it faster. And then eventually we upgraded, and we had a machine that would like fold the paper for you, which was really fun. But that was the extent of my involvement.
Well, I did like visit his offices, and especially in the summer, as you said that I had more time. But it was sort of like my direction was sort of okay. She's going to go to med school, so she may not be involved in this business.
Mhm.
Sometimes he would tell me, you should just, when you're finished with high school, just come take over my business. You're better than the guys that I have. But
Mhm.
again, it was sort of joking. He
Mhm.
never thought that I would be serious about going into business, and I didn't see that at that point for myself. I was always interested, but I didn't see it for myself until a later stage in life that I was like older, more mature, and I got, familiar with the pharmaceutical industry, and it clicked where I could manage patient care
Mhm.
and offering, solutions to people with health problems and be doing business. So
Mhm.
sort of having both of them
Yeah.
together.
Well, I think as we're all growing up, for me it was like, am I going to become a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer? I wasn't very good at physics, so that cut up engineering for me. Um, do you remember how you ended up deciding on what attracted you to med school versus some of the other traditional paths? I'm sure our parents would always influence us to
Well,
pick.
I'm just going to be honest here. The traditional path for like at least my age group and in my country that I was living in Iran at
Mhm.
the time was that you either become a doctor or you become an engineer,
Mhm.
and that was like the two
Two
accepted.
choices. That's it.
Yeah, like, and it's like, and if you don't succeed in getting into university for those better degrees, then you become a teacher, or but which is really not the case. But
Hmm.
that was the mindset, and I was like always at the top of my class, I had the additional edge of growing up in the States, so my
Mm,
English was very good, and I could, use English textbooks and all of that to add to
mm.
my knowledge. So it was a given that because I was a very high achiever in school, I would either be a doctor, which that was preferable, or an engineer.
One
So,
A, one B.
so I studied both in high school. I both did a math and physics diploma, and I did biology. But
Yeah.
I ended up, and I got accepted in school in both engineering and med school. But again, med school was like more favorable. So this is med school.
You picked that, and I didn't realize you'd grown up in the States. Were you traveling back and forth, or what was the
Not
story
back
of?
and forth. So, like when I was 6 years old, my father decided that he wanted to continue his education.
Hmm.
Uh, he came to the United States as an international student. We spent there about 7 years.
Wow.
So I did elementary school. I was exactly 6 years old. So the first 7 years of schooling I did in the States. I learned to read and write English before Persian.
Wow.
But they always gave me a hard time because I had to do the Persian at home, and I was like, why am I so unlucky? I have to do two languages. Kids do, one set of homework and they're done. Why do I have to do two of them? Like I was always sort of pissed off.
Yeah.
When we're kids, we don't know, well, this is really good for you, having
Hmm.
as many languages in your toolbox, it just adds more dimensions to who
Hmm.
we are. And the English came really handy later on.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, not too
Yeah, so
bad. And
then we moved back home. I did high school, I did university. Mm, then after graduating and a few years of working in Iran, I just decided to immigrate to Canada.
hmm
So
hmm
back to North America.
yeah. I mean, before even you immigrated, you had you started as a doctor, or that was kind of your
Yes,
degree, but you end
yes.
up I guess going straight into pharmaceutical. Was there a
Not
period of where you
straight, not
practiced in
straight.
between?
Yes, I did. I had a practice for about 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
So I had a private practice, my own clinic. I also did some shifts in the hospital.
Hmm.
Um, but again, like when I met someone in the pharmaceutical industry, and he got talking about what they do, and I was, sort of fascinating for me, the research and development, like how a product comes to be on the shelf in the pharmacy, like what happens, the whole process, and then
Hmm.
also the business aspect of things. So I joined pharmaceuticals as sort of, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to keep my office and do a little bit of that, maybe as an advisor or something,
Yeah.
in the medical department. But gradually it took over everything. It became my full time obsession. I went on to do an MBA. So, but what I found that I truly loved was that I could reach so many more patients this way.
Hmm.
Because in my office, I could see so many patients a day, 10, 15,
Yeah.
20, not more. But what we did, like, and I was in a very good pharmaceutical company, we revolutionized the way patients were being treated.
Hmm.
And we could show that by, decreased hospitalizations or improved quality of life. There was real measurable results as a result of what we were doing, of
Hmm.
promoting new guidelines of treating patients. So
Hmm.
in this way, I thought that, okay, if I'm in doing this job, I'm actually serving more people than ever.
Yeah.
So that was really appealing to me.
And what else I found very interesting, GSK, that was, I guess, the first company you had joined, is a very iconic company in the pharma industry. But I would say for a lot of my friends who I know are doctors, funny enough, I have a friend who's switching from a non-medical field, trying to get into becoming a doctor later in her career. I'd say it's rare to find a doctor who moves into sales. And like I'm curious, what was like day one for you, like when it's very different treating patients than I assume you're selling doctors or pharmacies. Like, how
Yeah,
did you
it
ramp
was
yourself up?
different, but again, keep in mind that at the time, GSK in Iran was hiring just doctors and pharmacists,
Hmm.
and we went to the doctors as sort of what Companies these days call them medical science liaison.
Hmm.
So they are sort of a bridge between the company and the doctors, and they're usually either PhD degree or doctors that can talk about the scientific aspects of that special drug or treatment.
Hmm.
So we were conducting seminars, conferences, and one-on-one discussions with doctors
Very cool.
about like treatment guidelines.
Yeah.
And that was, really powerful to be able to sit one-on-one with doctors that are specialists in that specific, category,
Hmm.
and speak knowledgeably, because we had the medical background, but we also got outstanding training on that specific category. So when I'm talking about like asthma treatment, I am the expert. I know all the guidelines, all the
Yeah.
textbooks, whatever's out there, whatever papers, whatever textbooks about this,
You
I
know.
know. And so that was our role. It wasn't a completely like selling as like many things. It was a bit different,
Hmm.
but selling skills is obviously important. And what I realized later on was that in life, if you don't have selling skills, you can't do anything.
100%.
So it's like in any role that you have, selling is a part of it. It's
Hmm.
just differently positioned. Even a doctor that has a private clinic, they have to sell their skills.
Hmm.
So if they don't provide um, that level of care that people expect from them, they're not going to have any patients
Yeah.
coming to them. People will go someplace else. So that's
Yeah.
again a kind of selling, but it's differently positioned.
Of course. Yeah. Well, especially it sounds like at GSK, you almost serve as the this primary role as an educator and teacher of what's happening, and then ultimately, if your product solves the needs or what their
Exactly.
patients have, then
And
you'll
again,
do the
I
deal.
got interested in many different um, aspects of pharmaceuticals. So I did a little bit of, I went for a few months in other countries. I did
Mm.
a bit of marketing. I was in sales. So I sort of moved around and tried to
Mm.
understand the different aspects of the business.
And I'm always very fascinated about the details of the conversations. Do you remember, in the situations where you're talking to doctors one on one, as much as you're also a doctor, in the buyer seller relationship, the buyer's naturally skeptical. Did you find, what ended up being the best way you found to kind of run those meetings to understand, is my product a fit for you, and ultimately, convince them to use yours versus whatever other products were in the market? What Walk me through what those conversations were like.
Um, well, I had a rule for myself always, and that was that if I did not believe in a product, I would not promote it.
Hmm.
And I was lucky that the company that I joined, GSK, had really top notch, groundbreaking pharmaceutical products. So there
Hmm.
was no concern over there. And with doctors, the best positioning is just talking about the science and the
Yeah.
facts. So this is the clinical data, this is the research, and try it out. Once you try it, you will become a believer. And that was really the case. Like I had cases where a new product was introduced, and then after a month, the doctor was chasing me in the hallways of, the hospital. Wait, that thing that you told me to use on my dad was outstanding. Go tell everybody. So anybody that doesn't know this, they have to start trying it. So
Amazing.
um, it was amazing. And even now with my own product line, that's the case. Like if I'm 100% confident that this is good, it's research backed, it'll work, I promote it. If it's not at that stage and I'm not confident, we don't even manufacture. We're like, no, this is
Hmm.
not what we want. So it's very important for me. Ethically, I think that if I'm promoting a product or selling, if you want to say that, it's
Hmm.
something that I know will benefit the patient.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, you had a lot of fun. It sounds like in that first role outside of medicine, but then you eventually decide to come and immigrate to North America, to Canada. What What made you decide to do that? What's the story of how you ended up, I guess, in Mississauga, Oakville, wherever you
Oh,
landed first?
well, it's different components. It was a portion of it was my family. I had a son that was finishing high school. He
Mm,
wanted to do his education in North America. My brothers and sisters were already living in the States. So I wanted to be closer to them. And
mhm,
then there was always this concept that there's more room for growth, and there really is.
mhm.
From friends and family that were living in North America, and I had that experience from my childhood, that there is more room for growth. And we saw this as an opportunity to come as a family and, try something new. And it's like
Yeah.
I always have this, sort of um, spirit of, I think because of my parents, that they were so flexible to move, to North America and different cities. And so we moved around, and that was sort of instilled in our blood that we weren't stuck in one place.
Hmm.
I feel what immigration does to a person, and like anyone that has immigrated can really attest to that, that it adds so many dimensions to your personality that you couldn't have it without. It's impossible. If you're stuck in your same little city your whole life, you can't develop as a person
Yeah.
or professionally as much as you can when you explore, you know, different
Hmm.
places in the world.
For
I'm still
you,
open to exploring. It's not done yet.
oh, of course, of course. Hey, for you, when you kind of reflect back at who you were when you came to Canada versus who you are now, is there anything you've noticed in yourself that you'd say, "Oh, wow, this is something I picked up," or an evolution of my personality that you're proud of?
um, I believe that I've become more open to different cultures
Hmm.
and got more used to it than before. I can't say I've changed as a person because my personality was pretty much set in when I came. I wasn't very young,
Amazing.
but and it was just a few years ago. But seeing all the diversity, specifically in Canada, so I traveled to many places in the world, lots of European countries, but Canada is like a unique fabric of people from all walks of life in all countries that I think this is something that's special to Canada, and the openness and diversity is really something different, and it
Yeah.
affects each and every person that lives here. So I think as a people, we are more open to diversity and
Hmm.
accepting of different schools of thought, not so much stuck on the one mindset that we had from childhood.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's something probably special about our country that we don't recognize as much until we travel and see.
Yes, definitely.
um, as we're chatting, we see, I can see it on my other screen, and Neha is just really appreciative of some of your thoughts on the immigrant experience. And so, the day you kind of land here, did you have a plan as to, I already have this job and ready to go, or how did you kind of figure out your next step once you came into the country?
Mm, I did have a plan, but I can't say this is like the job that I was uh, had in mind. So first of all, well, we had a plan to enroll my son in his last year of high school and go to university. That was clear. For myself personally, I'd asked for an introduction to GSK in Canada to be able to visit and see the workings of what they
Hmm.
do as a guest with no expectation, because that wasn't an expectation that they would like hire me or anything like that. So in the first month or so, I had a chance to go meet them, spend a few days in their offices, and get a feel of the whole environment of how they're running business in Canada and what's similar, what's different to what we did over there. So that was a part. And my mindset was, okay, I'm doing pharmaceuticals. I'm going to do pharmaceuticals in Canada. That was the goal.
Yeah.
Um, what happened actually was that many Canadian companies expect you to have a level of Canadian experience.
Hmm.
And it's like this is like what any immigrant again hears when they land here. oh, your qualifications are very good, you have all these degrees, you have all this work experience, but you don't have Canadian experience. And I
Hmm.
initially I was thinking, what does this mean? Like I've been working with a team of 25, 30
Yeah.
people. We have like this much sales, we have this much growth, we have this and that. Same product, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So why? But now I realize why.
Hmm.
Because I didn't end up going to GSK or any big pharma. I ended up joining a very small company that was trying to launch their products in the Middle East.
Mm.
And they said, "Oh, you're the perfect fit because you know what's going
You
on
know
over
everything. You're
there."
the expert.
So they didn't want me for Canada. They wanted me for there. I said, "Okay, fine. At least I get some job experience." This was a, blessing in disguise.
Hmm.
Yes, I was getting paid half of what I was earning back home, and
Mm.
that's a pretty, drastic cut. Imagine, like, I was a high level manager over there,
Hmm.
everything nice, very good pay and everything, but half of that. But still, I said, okay, this is an experience. So I got into that small business. The best thing was that I realized how a small business in Canada is run.
Hmm.
This is something that I never knew. And all of the years of work could have never given me this insight than joining a small company and day in and out seeing what they're doing to get their product out there.
Hmm.
And because I'm always curious, I didn't stick to my export markets.
Yeah.
So I was looking into, okay, how do you manufacture? Where do you go to manufacture? Like, oh, who does the packaging? Who does this? Who does that? And I'm like, oh, interesting. If you can do it, I can do it. So
I love
why
it.
shouldn't I do this? So that was sort of a trigger for me that I always wanted to have my own product line. It wasn't like sudden for me. Even when I was working in GSK, I was like, oh, I wish I could have my own line. But I always thought this is like, it's not achievable.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's what I thought. I can't do this.
Mhm.
But when I saw the small business and I saw the level of support that the
Mm.
Canadian government and the Canadian business environment offers to small businesses, I thought maybe I can do it too.
Yeah.
And I did.
And there you did. Yeah. Do you remember? Obviously, it's like you're sort of learning these pieces and gaining more and more confidence. At some point, you probably uh, put down some money to, do your first run or test. Like, when was the first commitment to be like? It's not like I think I can do it. Of like, oh, I'm actually starting. Do you remember what was that first move that you had made?
Yeah, well, actually, my business partner and the co-founder of Elan Healthcare, we were talking about products and doing business for like a year maybe or so. It was just discussions. And then
Hmm.
one day he said, you know what, let's just register a corporation. Let's get a couple of these products registered with Health Canada and see what we can do. So,
Hmm.
okay. How much money do you think we need? It's like, maybe $5,000, $10,000. Okay, let's see what you know. So it was just like an idea, sort of going around in our heads. This was
Hmm.
2016. So we started the process of registration, and registration with Health Canada is not like overnight thing, especially with new formulas. It takes a
Hmm.
couple of years. It needs a little bit of groundwork research and evidence that why this and why this works and all that. So that took us about 2 years. And once we had three products registered, we thought, okay, now we can do small batches. All this time, I'm still working with a full-time job, doing this on the weekends and nights and all that. He's doing the same, and um, it was actually the tail end of 2019 that we made our first commercial batch.
Hmm.
And one problem that we had was that MOQs, or minimum order quantities, for uh, products like any kind of pharmaceutical, nutraceutical product is high. They won't make you five little boxes of this. They're going to make it, at least you need to make,
Yeah.
300,000 tablets, or, batch sizes are relative.
Not a small amount.
Yeah, it's And it's like a big sort of risk as well, because
Yeah.
until you put the product out there, even though you've done the research, you know it's a good thing, until you put it out there, you don't know how it will be accepted. Like,
Hmm.
will people like it?
Yeah.
So that was, I think, the most challenging part, that, to just take that leap.
Yeah.
Just, you know, believe in what we have and just take the leap and make our first commercial batch.
Yeah. And what, I'm sure it's a scary thought to wire, however many thousands of dollars you had to do that. Was there any research you had done, or like what were the data points in your head,
Of
or
course,
maybe just,
yeah. Well, there was lots of, like initially, as I said, we were just talking, but then when it became serious, I sat down, did, a business plan, a lot of market research
Mhm.
of like what's going on in this category, everything, all the research, all the background of, okay, this is what we have. And then we also discussed this with many doctors, and because now we're moving into the natural healthcare, nutraceuticals. So a lot of
Mhm.
naturopathic doctors, dietitians, people who specialize in nutrition, their thoughts on this. That was a lot of, the groundwork that we did, that we thought, okay, this
Mhm.
will, it has a chance, it will
Yeah.
succeed. It's a category where there's a gap, there we need some more products here, and there's not similar in the market. This is an area where we can enter.
Mhm.
Again, we were lucky because on the get-go, through and that was actually through a program I did here. I did a program in international business development while
Mm.
in Canada, back after I came here,
Yeah.
because I thought I need to know more. The more that I knew, I thought I need more information. I need how to do business as a Canadian. Just
Yeah.
forget about what you were doing, just how to do business as a Canadian. So I did that program, and through that program, I became friends with a classmate, and his cousin was like head of a fertility clinic in his country, like
Mm.
huge. And I sent him the formulas, I sent him the product prototypes, and he loved it. He said, I want these. I said, okay, here's, the documents from Health Canada and stuff like that. Go register. And so he helped us out really. Like, he placed the order, the initial commercial order, and he trusted in like that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and so we made that, large batch and exported some of it. Maybe we're the only company that exported
From day one.
first the
Yeah.
first batch. And along with that, we started in Canada.
Mhm.
So that really helped us out, because initially we really were scared to make this. And these have
Mhm.
expiry dates, right? It's like I can't keep them for years on end. It's like a 2-year shelf life.
Yeah.
But it took less than 6 months to go out of stock. So
Well, as you're talking, you just answered a question. I don't know why the name doesn't show up on my screen, but it's Neha, who's
did you
absolutely
ever
loving.
feel scared? Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Many sleepless nights.
Where once the kind of order had gone out, and are there any other kind of moments where you thought, wow, this was actually like a terrible decision, and
I never
or
thought it's a terrible decision, because all along the way, I've had lots of fun doing what I'm doing. It was a passion. I always wanted to do this, and I love all the different aspects, from really looking up, disease areas and treatment areas where we need to improve, onto getting, okay, what kind of product can we develop, to manufacturing, to making the packaging, why should it look like this, what color should I use, what should I name it. It become the products become like your babies,
yeah,
that you've done everything for them, from naming them to, and we did everything ourselves. It wasn't like we go take a bunch of money, throw it at some company to
yeah,
do our branding and packaging, nothing like that. So
hmm,
everything from the scratch, we did it ourselves.
wow,
um, that's why I always love what I'm doing. And again, I just pursue products that I know really work and are really going to benefit people. So I never thought it's a bad idea. I always, the only, fear was that what if we don't have enough money to continue doing this? Because
Yeah,
the first couple of years, you're basically just spending, 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 not making
100%.
any money. So it's a real, it's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on the topic of money, that was my next question of how did you finance that first batch? Where did
um,
you?
well, we finance the business from our own pockets
Yeah.
up to the first, I think the first like 3.5 years.
Wow.
Finally, the bank gave us a line of credit
Hmm.
of $50,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, still not enough. So
Can
when
almost
it's in
buy
the
one batch.
pocket, you don't want to know how much. So it's like, okay, we're going bankrupt personally. So
Yeah.
yeah, we invested quite a bit on our own.
Yeah.
Uh, but then the order from export market kicked in. So he paid for, a good portion of the manufacturing of the first batch after we made it. And then we started sales immediately. So, and
Hmm.
then it's just snowballing from there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on sales, that's the other half. I almost very curious of. Bootstrapping is incredibly difficult, but even in my last company, we financed it through customers. We were very fortunate. We did one deal with Procter and Gamble that kind of gave us the foundation to pay for our team and salaries and all that.
Mhm.
How did you? Who's the first person that paid you for your product, and how did you find them?
Again,
It
our
was
export partner, he
export
was the
partner.
first one that
Yeah.
purchased, and his purchase funded the whole manufacturing of the batch, like because he purchased 75% of it. The
Amazing.
25% that was left, we took to doctors as
Yeah.
samples. We took to naturopathic doctors, we took to clinics, and I also put it up on Amazon myself. So no
Wow.
professional pictures, no nothing. I just took my, cell phone and took some pictures and put them up on Amazon. I thought, okay, let's see if people will buy this.
Yeah.
And so I had a little bit, like I knew a little bit how to run a pay-per-click campaign in Amazon. So and I watched a lot of videos that how to do this.
Hmm.
So very amateurish, but we put them up there, and I was like,
It works.
you know, first week, second week, one person purchased, the second one, and then it became more and more. So it was amazing how with our ovofolic product, it just like people are buying. I couldn't believe it because there's so many products on Amazon. It's like it's
Yeah.
jungle, right? And so this showed us that really people need this. And then
Hmm.
the reviews started coming in. Oh wow, I'm like my symptoms are gone. I'm so happy. I'm like, okay, this is really, this is working. The research was there, everything was there. We knew we had high quality ingredients, high quality processes, everything. But still, until you get the first feedback from patients, you can't, or consumers, whatever product it is, you can't still be 100% confident
Hmm.
until real people give you, that feedback
Yeah.
without any bias, without any filters,
Hmm.
and that really gave us the confidence to manufacture more and more, and then get somebody professional to make our Amazon listings.
Yeah, well, now you know it works, and it's just tweaking
Yeah,
and optimizing. And my favorite saying that I repeat to myself, it's the market is really your mentor. The market teaches you what works and tells you what doesn't work, and
exactly.
it is ruthless and kind depending on how good your product is, and
Yeah,
it's
and,
really
and
it.
it's like there's the mentality of the consumer is something that's it's very complicated to understand. you know, as marketers, we do our reviews, we pick demographics, all of that.
Hmm.
But still, how people mind works, that is something that's unique. And when you get the product out there. It's,
Yeah.
and then I think we've been very lucky to be successful with the products that we put out there because I know that even in very big companies, even very big pharmaceutical companies that have years and years of research and millions of dollars invested, out of 10 products, maybe one or two becomes a star.
Hmm.
Not every single product that you put out there will be a star. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think we are blessed, and maybe because it's from the heart, really,
Hmm.
that two of our products out of three are Amazon choice, which
Amazing.
shows that people really love it. So, and this was really, we never thought that like in less than 6 months our products would become Amazon choice.
Hmm.
Anytime I saw that badge, I was like, "Oh wow! Like that is so like that is a huge comp." And they were like huge companies compared to us, like a 2-3 person team. They were huge.
Hmm.
But when we got the badge, I'm like, "Really?" I couldn't believe it. Oh, we are like the Amazon choice in male fertility supplements, or we are
Wow,
the Amazon choice in inositol inositol combinations. Like,
that's
because
amazing.
again, even though the category is niche, there are a lot of competitors.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But yeah, you willed it into existence. You willed it to be successful. I was kind of jumping around, but you had mentioned, okay, that other 25%, other than Amazon, was sold kind of person to person, with just like what you were doing back in the day with your time at
yes, a little
GSK.
bit, yeah.
Yeah,
That training kicked in. So
yeah,
even now, when I want to introduce the product, I do it myself.
yeah.
I do it myself. Either it's a naturopathic doctor, a nutritionist, someone that I want to partner with to be an influencer. And usually our influencers are also practitioners because,
Hmm.
like, um, even that has to be special, right? The audience
Yeah.
is looking for actual advice from someone that's an expert in that
Hmm.
field. So it's a nutritionist, or it's a naturopathic doctor, or it's a medical doctor, gynecologist that's talking about that. So I basically explain about my products to them myself. Before COVID, I would go to their clinic, I would visit them. Now it's like a Zoom call or something like that.
Yeah.
But the concept is the same.
Hmm.
And what I believe uh, that is that any training that we receive during our lifetimes, at one point, it's going to come in handy.
Hmm.
So if I did not have a training as like a medical representative for GlaxoSmithKline, I would not know how to properly position and present my product today.
Yeah.
That training, and even though I hadn't been doing that for many years, that was like the first 2 years maybe of my job, and then I moved on to more management levels and less interaction one-on-one with doctors. But still, it's there. The training is there, and it comes in handy. It's like any training.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I wasted my time going to college," or "I wasted my time doing this program and getting this certificate." But you never know when it's going to come in handy. That
Hmm.
additional piece of expertise that you have.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I think there's a great book that I really enjoyed. Maybe it caters because I'm a very ADD kind of person, but it's a book called Range, and it was written particularly around athletes. But what I liked about the book was it really talked about how true, like the I guess the truly exceptional or successful people often are ones that didn't specialize in one thing, but have these variety of experiences where maybe I'm not the best doctor or the best salesperson or pharmacist, but because I've done all these things, I'm the one of the few people that have this combination of six skills. And so I have a little monopoly in this collection of skills that I have. Just like when you mentioned when you came to Canada, you were the unique person that, hey, I know how to sell these types of products back in the Middle East. And so it's a rare combination that there are not many Canadians who have that expertise,
yeah.
right? um, and so now as the business continues to grow, what's I'm curious about your actually, before I actually jump to that, there's one other question I remember I was going to ask was in terms of positioning the business, because I imagine it's very different walking into a doctor's office with the GSK brand versus today with, especially in your first couple of meetings with a company that, I'm sure these doctors haven't heard of. Maybe they know you from the past, but how did you, I think a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, myself included, are always wondering, like, how do I sell around the fact that I'm like, it's just me, or I've just started. Some half of it is like, in certain industries, that's great. I want to support the young upstart, but in something I'd say more sensitive as pharma, that would be, I would be afraid of, like, how do I tell this story in a way that they have confidence in me? What was your way to do that?
Um, uh, I think I never had an obstacle around that. Um, I didn't go to each and every doctor. Like, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about visiting 10 people a day or anything like that. First of all, I approached them as the business owner,
Mm-hmm.
that this is my business and I'm a medical doctor. So I have expertise in this
Yeah.
area. And yeah, not everybody responds. So you email or you call, and then some will see you, some won't, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I remember Michelle was talking in one of her talks. I really love her discussions. It was like 10 times, no, one will be yes,
Yeah.
which is the one that you need, the one yes that you
That's
need.
all.
So that's the thing that um, I believe we shouldn't be stuck on. Oh, they didn't respond to my email. So what? You go on to the next person or the next person. Eventually you get some positive leads,
Yeah.
and that's all you need, and that's all you need. So what was like, again, with my products, I had the groundwork research. I knew what I was talking about. I'd done years of research on it. So we didn't just, you know, put something out there without having that expertise. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like the result of years of research. As a practitioner, I've seen so many people with subfertility that is due to just nutrition, and
Mm-hmm.
supplements can help them. Or I've seen so many people with PCOS that can be managed with natural, solutions. So I know what I'm talking about. I have the
Mm-hmm.
science, I've done the research, and this is the product. And I'd say, okay, just try it, give it to a
Yeah.
couple of people, you know, a few samples. Just try it out. Let me know what you think. If it's not good, we will improve it. We
Exactly.
will work on it to make it better.
Yeah.
So, and this approach works. I think it's not like I don't believe in pushy sales methods per se. I think a good product speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting it into the hands of the right people.
Yeah.
And then e-commerce has solved the problem for many of us small businesses. I think that's the wonder of the internet.
Yeah.
But again, this is a new area for me too. We
Yeah.
started year ago, yeah, year ago, with the pandemic. Like, okay, so we were exploring this whole range of going to clinics and fertility clinics, and putting the product there, and gradually growing in Canada. And we had our export market as well. But the shutdown affected, like, nobody's now in the clinics, they're all
Mm-hmm.
closed, they're on the phone, everybody's stressed out. So what do we do? Let's, again, I'd already put it on Amazon, but it was like a very, just trying and testing. But we said, okay, let's do this seriously.
Yeah.
Our website was not catered for e-commerce. It was just
Yeah.
a website. So we converted to a, you know, e-commerce website. And I did it myself.
Amazing.
Again, like, I'm saying this for all the people that may be listening or may listen in the future. You don't need to pay somebody 20,000 bucks to make a website. You don't.
Yeah.
Just, it takes a little bit of, time, but you can do it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it's the best, and I may pay somebody to do it
Later.
over in the future for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
I did this myself. Whatever it is, and it's working. It's bringing in sales.
Yeah.
So, for now it's okay.
Yeah.
Like my Amazon listing, I did it myself. Then when I get to a level that, okay, this is, generating some money, now I pay someone to make a better one.
Of course.
I think the mistake many people make, that it's sort of a drawback that they don't start a business or they don't do something, is that they think, okay, this much for a website, this much for this much for that, this much. Oh, okay, I need $100,000 to say, just start.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not at
that's
all.
too much money.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to put in the work and do some things yourself, in the age of technology, there's pretty much nothing that you can't figure out.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. My favorite. So it's funny. I didn't even think about this until now, but I should keep a tally because in it's a couple of different guests. I'll ask like, oh, how much did you invest to start your business? So far, the lowest amount I've heard, relative to the largest exit, was a company called Native, which made deodorants, all natural deodorants.
Mhm.
His name is Moise, and his initial investment was $1,200.
Wow.
And he bought the formula through someone he met through Etsy. It was some basic branding. It was bare bones, and then that business sells to Procter and Gamble for $100 million in cash.
Wow.
And so, if there's anything we can learn from your advice and from a few other examples, it's those are all false barriers. You can get started very, very fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I feel you. And so now, as the business is growing, what are some of the goals you have? How do you continue to finance the business? Where else are you seeking help? And I would love to understand kind of where you're at today.
Um, our vision is to become a global recognized brand in fertility supplements. That's the vision. We want to go everywhere. Right now, I'm exploring. I'm doing sales in the U.S., but not as much as Canada. So the U.S. market is one, obviously, that I want to grow in. The other is Singapore. I'm exploring right now.
Mhm.
I am in negotiations with Turkey, with a couple of Middle East countries.
Wow.
So the plan is to grow in globally, globally, both on e-commerce and regular wholesale exporting. Interesting that Amazon approached us to enter Singapore because
Wow.
they're like, you're a good seller, you have 5-star reviews, everybody's happy, you're always in stock, and people are happy with the product. Why don't you go to Singapore? We're trying to grow that market too, so that's
That's great.
interesting. Um, Regarding funding, it's easier to fund the business now than it was at
Yeah.
the beginning because we're bringing in revenue and whoever we go to will believe us
Yes.
versus before that nobody would. Um, a special, thank you and shout out to Clearco. I actually, you know, got to know about this opportunity quite by chance. One
Hmm.
of my contacts on LinkedIn shared Michelle's post about Clear Angel.
Hmm.
I think it was the first day it launched.
Yeah.
And he said, this may be good for you. And I said, okay. And, I just sort of went there and I said, sounds interesting. Let me see. I'll just fill out the form. And they got back to me and they said, yeah, you're, accepted and we'll fund you. Um, uh, it was, you know, it was a good amount, the money, I'm not saying, but more
Hmm.
important than the money was the support.
Hmm.
So, what Olivier and the rest of the team at Clear Angel have done for us is beyond that amount of money, because that amount of money I'm making every month or more myself now.
Hmm.
But what I really needed was that as a person, like a small business, that I have to rely on myself for everything. It's good to have a knocking, board to fly ideas that, okay, I have this proposal in front of me. Should I accept or not?
Hmm.
Or I'm thinking of doing this next step. Do you think it's a good idea?
Hmm.
Sometimes we really need someone to be that sounding board and listen and also understand our business. So, like Olivier, and I'm sure all the other coaches take the time to understand the ins and out of your business. So, they
Hmm.
are your partner. They are your business partner. They understand the business and they can guide and coach you through what you are doing. And the best part is, as you grow, if you need more funding, you can still go back, and
Hmm.
ask for funding for inventory or something else, and without giving away your company.
Hmm.
That's I think that's amazing. What Clearco and Clear Angel are doing is really, really amazing. I wish you were around, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago
I feel the
doing
same
this,
way. I
doing
started,
this.
yeah, I had an ecom company 10 years ago, and
Wow.
nothing like this existed. So I feel the same way as you, but I would like to say you are amazing. You've built an incredible business, and we're very proud to have you as part of our portfolio and a part of our group of amazing founders.
Thank you. Thank you
It's
so much.
and so
You
now
had
that
yourself. I don't know when you started, but 10 years ago, were you out of high school?
I just I have a good skincare routine sitting in the sun all day. I guess that's what helps. And so now we're both in Ontario. The world is slowly, hopefully, opening up for all of us. I'd love to always finish off on kind of the personal side. As much as we're all enraptured and focused in our business, is there anything personally you're looking forward to? Whether it's, you mentioned at the beginning you love to explore different places. Is there a place you want to travel or see, or something you want to do with family or friends? What's like the burning thing you want to do next in your personal
Yeah.
life?
Well, travel is, I think, on the top of the list after this year and a half of sitting at home, not
Hmm.
doing anything. So travel is definitely on the list. We really love to travel, and prior to this, we would at least take 2 trips to different countries every year, just exploring, um, and getting to know new cultures, meet new people. That's really amazing. On another front, something that I'd really like to do, I'd like my business to get to a level that I don't need to be hands on so much every day,
Hmm.
so I can start. I'm thinking of a school for
Mm.
disadvantaged girls, that maybe not in Canada, because I see, like, in many Middle Eastern countries it's so difficult to get the kind of training and education that's
Hmm.
required to succeed and become a strong woman.
Hmm.
So I had the opportunity of growing up in the States, being in a family where they paid a lot of attention to education, and gave me, opened all these doors to be able to go to med school, to be able to do an MBA, to, learn English at a young age. But not every girl has this opportunity. I'd love to, explore how I can help. And it's a school or what it is, I don't know right now. It's a thought,
Yeah.
but I think that I will get there once a little bit. I can uh, I can give a little bit of parts of the business to other people to do. I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
will be a passion project.
I love it. Well, it's all you just put the intention in your mind, and you never know. Eventually, as you think about it in the back of your head, it'll manifest at some point of like, this is how I'm going to do it, or this is how I'm going to try it. Just like how your business started.
Yes, yes.
Amazing. Well, I know we're coming up on time. I know I'm sure you have lots of things to get to. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time to share your story. And
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. When you told me about like 45 minutes, an hour, I thought, oh my God, what are we gonna say? But like the time flew. I really enjoyed speaking with you
same here.
today, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who is watching, for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week on our next episode. But hope you have an amazing day. Thank you.
Bye bye. Take